Two accounts, same balance, same day. Owen and Maya are both 27, both live in Denver. Both make $58,000 a year, both have exactly $15,000 sitting in a savings account, and both can set aside $500 a month. Same starting line, same discipline, same spreadsheet, basically. 10 years later, one of them has more than double what the other has. Not because they saved more, not because they picked a better stock, because of one specific week, the week they decided their savings account was full, and it was time to turn it into something else. Most videos on this topic skip that week completely. They either tell you just start investing, like it's a light switch, or they tell you to keep saving until you feel ready, which isn't a number, it's a feeling, and feelings don't compound. I ran the actual numbers on both of these paths, dollar by dollar, year by year, and today I'm giving you the exact mechanical order, the real checkpoints, in sequence, with real dollar amounts attached to each one, so you know precisely when your saving is supposed to stop being saving and start being investing. I break down stuff like this with real numbers, no agenda, so if that's useful to you, subscribe now, because the checkpoint list I'm about to walk through is the part nobody else puts in the right order. Because here's the actual problem with just start investing. Start investing with what money? Start investing when? Start investing into which account first? Out of half a dozen options that all claim to be the priority, nobody answers that in order. I'm going to. Let's go back to day one. Owen and Maya, sitting on the exact same $15,000, about to make two very different decisions with it, and neither of them realizes yet how much that first decision is worth. Day 1. Owen looks at his $15,000 and feels good. That's more than 3 months of his expenses, which run him about $3,200 a month. He's hit the textbook emergency fund number, so he does what feels like the responsible next move. He keeps stacking his $500 a month into that same savings account, because it's earning 4.5% right now, and 4.5% sounds like it's working for him. Maya looks at the same $15,000 and does something different. She checks her expenses, same $3,200 a month, and realizes her real emergency fund 6 months, because her job in sales has variable commission, is $19,200. She's not there yet, so she keeps saving too, for now. Same move as Owen, for 3 more months. That part isn't the difference. Stay with me. Checkpoint, month 4. Maya hits $19,200. She stops adding to savings. Owen, sitting at $17,000, keeps going, because his number was never actually calculated, it was a vibe. Here's the headline number on Owen's plan. His savings account pays 4.5%. Sounds solid. Sounds like his money's growing. But strip it down, inflation's running close to 3%, and every dollar of that interest is taxed as regular income, not the lower capital gains rate. His real, after-tax, after-inflation return is closer to 0.8% a year. On $15,000, that's about $120 of real growth a year. Maya, the month she hits her real number, opens a brokerage account and puts her next $500, plus the extra she's no longer routing to savings, into a broad index fund tracking the S&P 500. Headline number: the S&P 500 has averaged close to 10% annually over the long run. Real number, after you account for a down year. Because there's always a down year, her adjusted expected return sits closer to 7% after inflation. That's not a guess. That's the historical range I actually pulled before writing this. Same starting point, same emergency fund logic, even. The only difference is Maya had an actual number where Owen had a feeling, and that's checkpoint 1. If this is the kind of breakdown you wish more finance content actually did, the real number, not the headline number, hit like on this one. It genuinely tells me to keep making them this way. Year 1. Maya's brokerage account has $6,500 in it, her contributions plus growth. Owen's savings account has $21,000. On paper, Owen looks like he's winning. He is not. Because Owen has now blown past his real emergency fund number by nearly $2,000, and that extra money is doing the least productive job in his entire financial life. It's sitting there earning 0.8% real, when it could be earning closer to 7%. He worked for that money. It isn't working for him. Year 3. Maya's account, with steady $500 monthly contributions at that 7% real return, sits around $27,000. Owen, still routing everything to savings, has $39,000, but $19,200 of that is doing its job as an emergency fund, and the remaining $19,800 is the part costing him. Run that $19,800 at the gap between 0.8% and 7% over just those 3 years, and Owen has given up roughly $3,700 in growth he'll never get back. Not a catastrophe, but it's real money, sitting in the wrong account, for no reason except comfort. Year 5, Maya's at $46,000. Owen's excess savings, if he'd invested it instead, would have crossed $28,000 on its own, but sitting in cash, it's worth barely more than what he put in. Now, here's the part that's going to sound like I'm arguing against myself. Owen isn't wrong to love that savings account. Here's the myth I need to bust. On the side, I've clearly been building a case against. Liquidity has real value that doesn't show up in a return percentage. If Owen loses his job, or his car transmission dies, or he needs $4,000 in a week, his money is sitting right there. No penalty, no market dip eating into it, no waiting for a sale to settle. Maya's money is in the market. If she needs it during a downturn, she could be forced to sell at a loss to get cash she needs immediately. That's not a hypothetical 2020 to knock the S&P 500 down over 18% for the year, and anyone who needed to cash out mid-drop locked in that loss for real. So the honest version isn't investing beats saving. It's that saving and investing are doing two completely different jobs. And the entire mistake the one Owen's making is using the savings tool to do the investing job, past the point where the savings job is actually finished. We're about to get into exactly where that line sits, the real dollar checkpoints for when to shift, and what happens to both of their accounts by year 20. Subscribe now if you don't want to miss that part, because the number at the end surprised me too. And if you've made it this far, hit like. This is the version of this topic that actually respects that you can handle the real numbers instead of a slogan. Year 20. Maya's brokerage account, $500 a month at 7% real, sits at roughly $260,000. Owen's excess cash, the amount sitting in savings beyond his real emergency fund, would have grown to about $19,800 in nominal terms, barely ahead of what he put in after inflation eats its share. That's the actual gap, not a rounding error. $250,000, separated by one decision made in month 4 of year 1. But here's the full picture, because I promised you the honest version, not the flattering one. Maya also lived through 2022 with her entire cushion exposed to a market drop. If she'd lost her sales job that year, she'd have been selling shares at a loss to cover rent. Owen never had that risk, not once, in 20 years. That security has a value. It's just not a value that shows up on a 20-year growth chart. So the math shows Owen's approach wins if the only thing that matters to you is having cash on hand for the next few years. No exceptions, no risk tolerance at all. And the math shows Maya's approach wins if you've already got that real, calculated emergency number covered, and the money left over has nowhere better to go than a shelf. The honest version isn't picking a side. It's this: your savings account has exactly one job: cover your real, calculated number of months of expenses. The day you hit that number, every dollar after it is doing the wrong job if it stays in cash. That's the whole path, not a feeling, a number, then a decision. I ran the real numbers so you don't have to guess at yours, so pull up your own expenses, calculate your real number, and check today whether you're still owing 3 months after you should have become Maya. If this helped, hit like and subscribe so you catch the next one. I've got a video coming on exactly which account to invest into first, once you've crossed that line. So tell me, are you Team Owen, all cash, no exceptions, or Team Maya, invest the second the cushion's covered? Comment below. I read every one. That's the real math. See you in the next